When we're talking about Caitlin, we're talking about when she said dominate, when we're saying dominate, we're thinking what she does in college, right?
No, she dominated in college.
She dominated. So when she says you won't come here and dominate off the rip, averaging 17 is not dominated compared to averaging 30-something for 4 straight years.
And so here we go again. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And before I get started, make sure you guys go and hit that like button for me. And if you're not new to the channel and you've been enjoying the content so far on this channel, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. And so let's go ahead and get into it. As everybody knows on this channel, I call it like I see it, but I'm not a Caitlin Clark hater. But the Caitlin Clark fans are always watching.
Just sitting here watching.
And so every time you say something or every time you bring something up, they're quick to jump on you. Like I've never seen before. I've never seen anything like it. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be what you say, as we found out with Cheryl Swoops.
I thought a lot of analysts would have been fired. Now, here's an example. And it just happened in real time, right? One of our own, Cheryl. You know how you read something, right? When you're reading it, whatever, we just sit here. She did the same thing. They used that silence against her, right? All of the people that's complaining do the same thing to the players they don't like. If Skip Bayless, if they're talking big enough LeBron and he don't say nothing, no one says nothing. No one cares, right? Most of those guys, they hate a player. They get to be silent. They get to say whatever the fuck they want to say about these players, and there's no problem. But now on the other side,
because everybody was talking, right? My statement was, I don't think, and let me clarify this. I made the statement about both Angel and Caitlin, not just Caitlin.
Right.
My statement was, I don't think either of them are going to come into the league and dominate immediately. And maybe this was more so for the new fans who never watched the WNBA. So my point being, there is hella talent in this league. It's not going to be as easy as y'all think it's going to be.
Right.
And what Cheryl said was absolutely correct. Because a lot of the Caitlin Clark fans came in thinking that Caitlin Clark was going to be the best player within the WNBA off the rip. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And I've heard people say that the Indiana Fever were the worst team in basketball, and Caitlin Clark came in and completely turned them around.
You lying ass.
The Indiana Fever were not the worst team in the WNBA. Now, they got the #1 overall pick, but they were not the worst team. The Phoenix Mercury finished 9-31, the Seattle Storm finished 11-29, and the Indiana Fever finished 13-27. 6 games out of the playoffs. And truth be told, the biggest jump that the Indiana Fever had was when they drafted Aaliyah Boston.
Aaliyah Boston, University of South Carolina.
Because the year they got Aaliyah Boston, or the year before they got Aaliyah Boston, they finished with a record of 5-31. The next season, they jumped up to 13-27. And so this is a team that was already ascending. I can't rock with this whole notion that Caitlin Clark's coming here and she's made Aaliyah Boston better, Kelsey Mitchell better. And so like I said earlier, it's a stacked team that was already ascending before Caitlin Clark even got there. And then you throw her in the mix, that's a complete team, or at least pretty darn close. You're talking about 3 all-stars with a good supporting cast, good enough to get the job done at least. But there's a couple of flaws within Caitlin Clark's game that's going to make it difficult for the Indiana Fever to win a championship. And a lot of people know it. A lot of Caitlin Clark fans within the media already know it. And they're already trying to make excuses for it.
Talking about value, Michael Jordan was the most valuable player every single year because of what he meant to his team and what he meant to the league. And, oh, by the way, winning 6 titles. Caitlin Clark may not win titles. Las Vegas is still a great team.
And so she might not ever win a championship. And one of the main reasons for that is because of her game.
If you're giving up or you're giving out 8 assists per game, yeah, she's had several double-digit assists. But you got turnovers, right?
Yep.
You're leading in turnovers.
Yep.
I get it. She's a rookie. It happens. She'll get better. But do you factor in what she's giving up on the defensive end?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And you still say she dominated?
No. That's the thing that fights against her.
She's arguably the worst defender in the league, the worst starting defender in the league. And then on top of that, she leads the league in turnovers.
All right. There's Caitlin Clark trying to pick up the pace. Clark turns it over. Good defense there.
28, she's, I don't know. I'm not sure.
And put it past her as Clark Turns it over.
Thinking about winning this ball game. Clark quickly gets it up court, then got it knocked away. Odyssey cradles it.
And you can't win like that. That's a recipe for disaster. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Caitlin Clark is basically the WNBA version of James Harden, Steve Nash, Luka Doncic. We're talking about perimeter players with great vision, great scoring ability, great shooting ability, but on the defensive side of the ball, they're a liability because they lack the athletic ability to be able to stay in front of guards that are quicker than them. And that's the truth.
That's the truth, baby. That's the clean truth.
And off the top of my head, I can't think of a championship team in either the WNBA or the NBA in which they had an all-star guard that was the worst defender on the team. And then on top of that, led the team in turnovers. I can't think of a championship team.
You talk about her already leading the W in assists, and a lot of the assists that she could have gotten were now turnovers.
Yeah.
Because they're either,
Sure, you can say that about every player.
Of course.
You could say that with anybody, but what separates the great point guards? And there's a saying, and some of my basketball players will know what this saying is. Know your personnel. Know who you're throwing the ball to. And she had 4 years in college to figure that out, and she still couldn't do it. Every year, she was still leading the league in turnovers. And so that's just a part of her game. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be an effective player, but I don't think that style of play contributes to winning.
I'm not a fan of in terms of winning championships. I don't think that style is ever going to win championships.
And history backs that up. There's very few offensively dominant players that were a liability on defense to win championships. And that's even when they don't turn the ball over. When you look at A'ja Wilson, lead the league in scoring, leading the league in rebounding, defensive MVPs, that's a complete player. That's a player that's dominating the league. Very few players can do that. Very few players can dominate in their careers. You're talking about an A'ja Wilson, a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, a Hakeem Olajuwon, a David Robinson, a Shaquille O'Neal, Will Chamberlain. You know, these are guys that dominated on both ends of the ball. Either you're going to be dominant or you're not. You can't just be dominant on one end. And then on top of that, not only are you not good on the defensive end, you're actually a liability. You're hurting your team, and the stats back it up. But that's my quick take on it. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts in the comment section below. And if you guys haven't liked the video, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. And if you're not subscribed to the channel and you've been enjoying the channel so far, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe before you leave. And as usual, peace and chaos.